Hey boys and girls, welcome back to KenSmithFishing.com. I'm going to post a short video here. It's probably going to go 7 or 8 minutes, but I wanted to address a couple of issues. First off, I've gotten the same question over and over and over about Jackson Hill Ramp, and it finally dawned on me why I'm getting questions about Jackson Hill Ramp. So I'll get to that in a second. But first, let's talk about what's going on at Rayburn. So if you haven't seen, Rayburn crested 169 this morning. Which is, remember, pool's 164.4, so the lake it'll be probably 5 feet high by the time you watch this video this afternoon. And if you saw it, it was coming up, it leveled, we got this rain, it's just continuing to come up. We're scheduled to get rain through the weekend. I will be over 170 pretty quick. We'll be basically where we were in the spring of 2016. If memory serves me right, we saw 173 in May or June of that year. Although that makes the fishing fun, it's really hard on the timber around the lake. You know, we lost a lot of big pine trees and beautiful sweet gum trees around the lake. And I say that to remind you of this. As the spring progresses, if you are up in those, in that shallow water fishing, excuse me, a little coughing fit. If you are up in that timber fishing, look up, because those big pine trees, a lot of them fell last year during the rattle trap tournament during all that high wind, and some of them even got blown down this past weekend. If you didn't hear, we had some really big straight line winds around Zavala 2 days ago. A lot of trees came down. A lot of those trees have come down, but if you're up in that shallow stuff fishing around, look up. Don't get up under one of those big pine trees with a big wind, or if you got any ice on them, because the last thing you want is a 800,000 pound pine tree falling across the dash of your boat. So anyway, I got a lot of questions about Jackson Hill, and actually, let's do this real quick. Clint Wade and Stacy Spriggs of Outlaw Outdoors are doing a great job right now of tracking open and closed ramps. Now, if you don't know those two, they own Outlaw Outdoors, a local tournament circuit. Actually, I think they're the only tournament circuit that's owned by somebody that spends the kind of time they do on Rayburn. And not only do they own a tournament circuit, they both fish a lot. Stacy caught a Cheryl Lone Star lunker. They had a stringer in the high 30s last year, both good fishermen. And on their Facebook page, on Outlook Outdoors Facebook page, they have posted this. So this is a piece that I mentioned a second ago. Outlaw Outdoors just posted this. It's a great piece, and it talks about what ramps are open, who own what ramps, so the private ramps that are open. I think all those private ramps you can call and confirm they're open. Again, on my last video, guys have commented below it saying what ramps that they're seeing open. I'm asking guys, if you would, to continue doing that in the comments on my prior video or in this video, just so as our guys come down here for FLW and other stuff through the spring, they'll know where they can put in, where they can't. So that is Outlaw Outdoors Facebook page. Thanks, guys. Okay, so thanks to them. And by the way, if you don't know, they're getting married soon. I think, well, soon. They're engaged recently. So I'm assuming Clint will eventually change his last name to Spriggs. Just kind of what I expect knowing those two. Anyway. So I got a lot of questions about the Jackson Hill Ramp. So let's look at the Jackson Hill Ramp here together. I apologize, my lighting's not great. So 147 bridge, right? You come up, you go around the little island right here where the river swings right up against the island. The Jackson Hill Ramp is right here. So as of right now, it's one of the few ramps on the north end of the lake that's open, because Monterey's closed and Hanks Creek's closed. So you got Castle Boykins and Jackson Hill. Now, the questions I'm getting are, and what I finally dawned on me is, one of the big high school circuits goes in and out of Jackson Hill. So we've got a lot of folks coming to town who don't spend any time on Rayburn, specifically guys that are captaining their kids' high school teams. And the question is, how do I get around up here? So just note, so if you come out of Jackson Hill Marina, this is an open bay. Matter of fact, there's a couple of big pretty houses sitting on this hill up here. And as long as you stay to this half, if you will, of the lake, which is going to be to the east side. So up here, this is east, okay? So you got north is right there.
So east is right here. If you will stay to the right half of this arm, you're safe out of the timber until you get to the power lines. Now, once you get to the power lines, you got to know where you're going. I've talked about this before. I don't get any money from these guys, but if you go to the boatlanes.com webpage, you can buy a chip for Lowrancer Hummingbird that shows all of this, and it does show a boat lane going up the Attoyac arm. But I will tell you, right out here in front of Townsend, that boat lane runs, if you kind of pretty much straight, and then it makes a little hook out here, and somewhere around the river it hooks and goes that way. That corner hook, it's not safe. It's got there's wood in that hook, but you don't got to worry about it right now. The lake's 5 feet high, so you can just pretty much pin it down and go. The question I'm getting from guys is, if I come out of Jackson Hill, where's the timber? So this is Alligator right here, out in front of Alligator, and this doesn't do it justice. This timber line, I think you can see those black dots, and you see I've drawn a line down the edge of that timber line. This timber line comes up here and kind of juts out a little bit and then runs right straight up the lake, staying to that left side all the way to the power lines. It comes on down the lake down here to, you see I've got a circle right there. On your Lake Master map, or even on your Navionics map, there's a little shallow hump out there, and that is right at the mouth of the long cut, and that's where that timber line is. So that timber line is just short of that, I guess that's going to be northwest of that point, and it runs all the way across to the mouth of the canyons. Anything above that, you've either got to be in the long cut, or you've got to be on this side to the power lines up here. Again, with the lake high right now, you're going to see guys running all over the place because most of our timber was broken off. So if the lake level, the pool is 164.4, most of our timber's broken off about 164. So you got a 5 foot margin of error right now. Now there are still some big tall trees sticking out of the water, but as my buddy Dickie says, don't hit the ones you can see. So as long as you stay outside of that, now there are some random, especially over here out in front of Castle Boykins, there are some random trees out here. Most of those are great big floaters that have washed down the lake and hung up, and some of them have been there for years. And the reason you'll know they're floaters is because they're sticking a foot out of the water at 160, they're sticking a foot out of the water at 165, so they're just moving up and down with the water level. But other than those random trees out here, this is all open. Now remember, if you're running around the corner and wanting to go into Harvey, your best bet is to run in here behind the islands and run that little run through there. If you're wanting to go down the lake, because if you don't know where that little gap is, and I've given you that gap on some of my other videos, I've given you the 3 waypoints on that corner to make that gap. But if you just want to run down the lake, come around here, hug this. You don't have to hug the bank. Just stay within a 1/4 mile of the bank out here. When you get to the bridge, sort of come about halfway across to the river, because then you're safe from this timber. Come out to the river where the river crosses, and you got a straight shot to Calhoun Point. Then you can cut across right here to Peckerwood, and then you can just run that down behind, sorry, I went off frame. You can just run down behind the forest. So hopefully that helps you guys that are boat captaining. And truthfully, the FLW guys that are coming down here, if you're wanting to fish on this end of the lake, if you have a north or a northwest wind, it is going to be extremely hard to launch off of that ramp if there's any wind at all. So it's probably going to push you up here to Jackson Hill or further up the lake. My understanding is Shirley Creek boat ramp is open as well. There's a lot of timber and there's a cutout in front of it, but again, with the water where it is right now, I think you can just light it up and go. So hopefully that is helpful, guys, and we will see you on the water this weekend. Okay, hopefully that helps you guys. Hopefully the content makes up for the poor lighting and the poor studio quality here. If I grow this thing big enough, trust me, I'm going to build out a really nice studio, and you guys hooking me up with your friends so that they subscribe is helping. I blew right through 3,000 subscribers. In my last video 2 days ago, I told you that's what I was trying to get to, and I picked up like 50 in the last day. So again, thanks so much for connecting me with your friends on Facebook and on YouTube so that they're subscribing to my YouTube channel. As I get revenue out of this, I am pouring it back into it. I'm upgrading my cameras. Like I said, I'm going to build a studio. You saw We're doing stuff at the Boat Barn in Zavala. So thanks again for subscribing to me and sharing with your buddies. And I'll continue putting up content as long as you guys continue watching it and telling me you're enjoying it. And so thanks for referring your buddies. If you don't subscribe, please do. I really appreciate that. And I always love getting the thumbs ups as well. So the likes are much appreciated as well. Thanks, guys. We will see you guys on the water this weekend. Look forward to it. Okay, one little addendum. I think they're in the bushes. I think there's some guys catching them flipping. I don't know if they're big ones or little ones, but I'm hearing some reports. And even if they're little ones, it's real addictive. So come spend the new year at Rayburn with us fishing. By the way, if you're down there, I should have mentioned this earlier. Outlaw Outdoors has a New Year's Eve tournament. It's kind of something they do every year. Moonpie and I are going to fish it unless the weather's just awful. So look forward to seeing any of you guys who want to come out and fish the New Year's Eve Outlaw Outdoors tournament. It should be a hoot. We'll have a great time. Thanks, guys.